First one I remember, I was 10 months old in my crib, taking a nap, supposedly. And I saw a big bright light come in through the levelers of my room, bright. And I was fascinated. I was staring at it like, what? And I started levitating out of my crib. And as I went up, I saw the top of the rail coming and I panicked. I mean, a full on panic. At 10 months old, you know that you can fall at 10 months old. And I tried to flip over and pull myself back down, grabbing the rails. And that's the last, gone, no more memory after that. But that was traumatic enough for that to remain in my mind.
Welcome in. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this interview. You guys are going to be fixed to your seats. It's going to be a good one. If you're enjoying this content, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And if you want to keep track of what's going on this planet, and I know it seems a little overwhelming right now, you might want to sign up for our Friday morning email newsletter. The link is in the description box down below. Every Friday morning, we send out an email. It's short, it's sweet, but very informative and very free, kind of outlining the things that we think are important that happened around the planet during the week. Super easy to sign up. You just click the link down below. Super free. I think you're going to love it. Have I told you how much I love Jupiter CBD oil? A few years back, I started waking up with stiff and sore joints. As a matter of fact, I'd have to actually crack my hands to get them working in the morning. I was really concerned because I had seen my mother and grandmother both suffer from debilitating arthritis, particularly in their hands. I went on a journey to find a more natural remedy for my stiff and sore joints and landed on CBD oil. That became a years-long quest to find a good formula that was consistent, that didn't taste horrible. And I'll tell you what, I am almost a consumer expert of CBD oils at this point. Luckily, a few years ago, I found Jupiter CBD oil and I couldn't be more thrilled. What I've experienced is very consistent quality, a very mild taste, and a good effect on my joints. I actually take this every night before bed. Jupiter CBD oil is sustainably sourced from organic ingredients, and the company itself is just wonderful. They have a heart for their products and a heart for their customers. Featuring 4 different formulas, including one for your pets, I take the Dreamland every night before bed. I sleep like a baby. My joints are fluid, pain-free, and very, very flexible. I really couldn't be happier with my results. Jupiter offers free shipping, free returns, 100% money-back guarantee, and I'm telling you, the best customer support system on the planet. I'm not kidding you one little bit. In addition, they now feature gummies and capsules, so make sure that you look over their entire product line when you're on the Jupiter website. I love Jupiter. It's a nice, small company, which I really appreciate. Visit getjupiter.com and use the code NEWEARTH for 20% off your entire order. Great sleep, less stress, fewer aches. Jupiter CBD oil. I think you're gonna love it. And with that, I want to welcome in, I'm so excited, I have goosebumps right now, you guys. Full conscious contactee, Dolly Safran. Dolly, welcome in.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. With you. I have just finished reading the book that was written on Dolly's experiences called Symmetry. It's written by Preston Dennett. You can find it on Amazon, and I'll have it listed in the description box down below. So I have had Dolly in my life for several days now. Let's start from the very beginning, Dolly, of when this full conscious contact experience, and I know it wasn't completely conscious in the beginning, how it started for you, and then we'll kind of move forward and I'll ask you a ton of questions along the way.
Okay, well, actually, I was born very gifted, very conscious and aware. They've been working with me since my birth, even before with my family. But my mother did not like any of this at all. It was not something she was comfortable with, and she didn't she was overprotective of me, unbelievably overprotective. It took a lot for her to have a baby, and when I came into the world, she literally became, don't touch my kid, you know. And she got to the point where she would just tell me, "Oh, you're dreaming. No, it's not happening. It's your imagination." Things like that over and over and over again. And I knew better. I have actual conscious memories already of a lot of things, just not all of it in a complete open line, because it would stop me dead in my tracks when she told me, "Forget it, don't think about it." When I was 14, I made up my mind that either I'm going to remember or I'm nuts and I really need a doctor. I mean, what choice did I have? There was nothing else I could do for myself at this point. I was at the end of my rope with it.
Okay,
And
so stop there and kind of tell us what kind of things had been happening, or the kind of fuzzy feelings you had about it that were making you feel like, I've either got to figure this out or I got to check myself into.
I have full unconscious episodes. First one I remember, I was 10 months old in my crib, taking a nap, supposedly, and I saw a big bright light come in through the levelers of my room, bright. And I was fascinated. I was staring at it like, what? And I started levitating out of my crib. And as I went up, I saw the top of the rail coming and I panicked. I mean, a full on panic. At 10 months old, you know that you can fall at 10 months old. And I tried to flip over and pull myself back down, grabbing the rails. And that's the last, gone, no more memory after that. But that was traumatic enough for that to remain in my mind. The second one is when I was about 2, my mother was very heavily pregnant with my brother. I was 2.5. And again, supposedly taking a nap, and I was visited, and the being that came into the room with me took me quickly up to the craft, and they said that I was going to go for a ride. And when we got to where we were going, they were going to send me in wherever we were, and I was to ask for a balloon because they were going to give me a big red balloon, which at that age I was like, yay, balloon. And so we landed behind a Utotem in Miami. It's about 6 miles from our house on Miller Road. And I remember being lit out, put out, and showed to go around the building, and I did. And there were big glass doors, and I tried to push it open. I could not. I mean, 2 years old, what are you going to do? And I started banging on it, and the guy inside was staring at me like, where's the family? And he came out and opened the door, and he took me by the hand. He's like walking around like, where? There's no cars, nothing. And he brought me in, and he sat me on the counter, and he got on the phone and called the police. While all this is going on, my mother had gotten up and realized I wasn't in the house, and they couldn't figure out what happened, and she called the police. And they had an APB, a bolo on me, everything. They put her in a police car, and they were riding around the neighborhood calling for me, trying to get me to come to the car. When they got the call that they knew where I was, they took her in the police car to the Utotem. And when she got there with the police, I was like fit to be tied. I didn't get my balloon. I was very upset. I was crying, like, hey, I got promised something. Where is it? And my mom was trying to get me to talk to her. At 2 years old, I was really very well spoken already by then. My command of English was pretty good. And I wouldn't tell them how I got there. Just that I wanted, and I used the word pabloon back then. I couldn't say balloon. I said pabloon. And I started freaking out at that point. I started screaming and crying, and she's holding me, and I'm like, yeah. And the police decided to have county services, which had shown up for this, because this was like out of weirdness. They separated me from my parents for about 2 hours while they made sure that my mom wasn't trying to get rid of me. When they realized that that was not the case, I went back to my parents, and they took me home, and there was a long controversy about that. And they put all new locks on the doors and the windows, and they got a police dog named Heidi, retired, to keep an eye on me and alert my mother when weird things were going on. It never helped because I have clear memories after that of going and my dog going with me. And it didn't happen all the time, but I remember being picked up. I remember being on board. I remember going to school. I remember all kinds of really fantastic adventures. But my mother, because I'm super intelligent, I guess is the only way to explain it. Big IQ, very quickly with everything. And they just thought I had an imagination off the scale. All right. My dad was really non-committal to any of this, but my mom was, telling herself this is all BS. But there were other things happening. I was also telekinetic. I was able to levitate when I was 2.5, and that freaked my mother out. I got up into the top of a closet playing hide and seek, and she doesn't. There's no way I could have got up there. And I remember going up there. I knew I did it. I used to do it when I was little, and my brother was little. I literally get him to the top of a ceiling and like hold him, and he'd put his feet on the ceiling, and then I put my feet on the ceiling. And one day when I was doing that, she walked under us down the hall, and that was all she wrote. I broke my
Now, is that a skill that you think you came in with,
yeah.
or a skill that you learned on craft?
I was wide open, conscious psychic. I remembered past lives before I was 3 years old. I have all kinds of abilities.
Okay.
Scared the hell out of my mother. So by the time I was 6 or 7 years old, the last straw that broke the camel's back with her was my aunt Barbara and her kids and my uncle had come to our house, and they had a terrible row, argument. And my little cousin Sharon, well, she wasn't little. She's 2 years older than me, but she had, you know, um, she was mentally retarded, okay, and slow. And she ran in the room. They were mad at her, and I took that completely. I don't like violence. I don't like arguing at all. And I was protecting her from everybody at that point. And my aunt came in the room angry, and it upset me so bad. One of the doors in my room opened the closet, and all my mother's hat boxes flew at her head. And I wanted her out of the room. And that's when they all started considering the fact that I was, exhibiting supernatural abilities, and that's when my dad got involved.
Yeah.
My dad,
Now, I've heard stories of young children with those types of skills and abilities, and the men in black show up, and off those kids go
yeah, well, that
into in.
almost really happened to me uh, when I was almost 5 at this point, and my dad, military, and he was told that they had a program at Homestead Air Force Base in Miami, and they were checking out the psychic ability of kids. It was a thing back then, and they offered my dad for me to come down, and they would test me out, and so he took me, and I passed the first test 100%, passed them easily, freaked them out, and they asked if they could keep me for a couple of days, and my mom had to come and sign the paperwork with my dad for me to go into this little program. And they were going to do EEGs on me. They were going to do a brain scan. They were going to, well, not really a brain scan. They could X-ray your head. Okay, back then they had like an encephalogram and stuff like that. And my mom said, absolutely not. You're not doing that to her. That's very involved, very dangerous stuff. But she said you can X-ray, you can do EEGs and things like that. And then they were going to test me, in-depth test me. By the second, third day, I was paired with another little girl, close in age to me, and maybe a year or two older than me. And they put us at a desk with a partition, and she would see a picture, and then I would see the picture in my mind and make the picture, or describe it if I couldn't draw it. And then I would do the same thing, and she would do the same thing. We went back and forth. At that time, I'm 5 years old. I don't understand that they are checking me for remote viewing, which I can do. And by the third day, my dad, a general who's really good friends with my dad, called him. He had heard I was there through channels, I guess. And he said, get her out now. And my dad said, why? And he said, because you'll never see her again. Get her out. And he wrote an order. And my father went in fully dressed, uniform dressed, with weaponry, his own weapon on his hip. And he handed him the order, and he said, front and center now. You don't talk to airborne rangers any other way than yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And they brought me out. He picked me up, and he turned his back on him, and he walked me out, and I never went back. When I was 8.5 years old, I was walking home from school, and a man in black tried to grab me. I was with a friend walking home from school, and I was already by then trained not to let anybody come near me, and we bolted and ran. I was dragging her. And when I got home, I told him what happened. And the next thing I knew, at that age, my dad had hired private security for us, for my brother and I. And we didn't leave our house without having one of them on us for over a month, until
Yeah.
he made arrangements for us to be safer than we were. Things happened in the background that I'm not aware of to this day. But he told me when I was that age, don't worry about it. I'm making it safe for us.
Yeah.
And
So do you think that you made the decision before you incarnated into this physical
Yes.
body
Yeah,
to
I knew
have those skills and abilities?
yes, I knew that I was incarnating into a family, a gifted family genetically, and there was a chance that what I incarnated into would be able to do all of this. By the time I had mental recall so well of previous lives that by the time I was like 10 and 11 years old, I started to see synchronicities in my life and my past lives and what it was I was supposed to do. And I started getting an inkling because I was already having contact with ET. And but I had I didn't even talk to my father about this. I kept it all to myself because I tried once to have a conversation with somebody and they treated me like I was completely insane. And that taught me on the spot. Mm-mm. And with military life and training, you don't talk about anything anyway. So I shut up, not even telling my father what was going on. So by the time I hit 14, I was so miserable knowing this was happening to me and believing that it was possible that I was crazy because my mom kept trying to make me go there, you know? And I thought the only thing I can do is prove this to myself one way or the other. And if I prove to myself that I'm nuts, I'll go get help because who wouldn't, you know? Uh, so I did. I said the next time I have something happening, I'm going to remember it second to second. I have an eidetic memory, and I knew I was going to do it. I knew it. Okay. When they came and got me, and I got on board, my head, I can't even begin to tell you, when I saw Mama and I realized that this was real, 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 real. I mean, I was physically flesh in the flesh, moment to moment, wide awake. There was no telling me this wasn't real. I touched her. I touched myself. I tried to, you know, do things that would cause me pain, and they did. I hit my hand hard. I did everything I could think of, and then the next thing I know, I'm puking my guts out because it is emotionally reeling to know that you've been deluding yourself for a long time and not facing reality. And it gave me a migraine. I was puking my guts out. I mean, it was bad. It lasted for a few days, and nothing I did helped me. I just had to sit there and let the memories sort of phase into place. You know, I had the memories, but they were out of sync with one another, and I started going back with my memory and going, okay, this happened first, this happened second. I remember this, I remember that. And it took me days to collect myself. And I didn't eat, I wasn't sleeping. It was horrible. And when I finally got myself all together, while this was happening, like the day after it happened, my father the next day got me up at like 3:30 in the morning and said, we're taking a road trip. It was a Saturday. And he said, we're going on a trip. And I said, why? And he said, because you need help. And that's when I looked at him like, why? Why are you talking to me like this? And he said, because I know you need help. I'm like, okay. And, you know, I trusted my father with my life. So I obeyed. And he took me to Fort Worth, Florida, which it was about an hour away from where we lived out in the Everglades, hour and a half. And we went up to this residence and he knocked on the door. And when the door opened, I realized where we were. My dad worked for NASA and I knew a lot of astronauts, and Mitchell was one of them. And he opened the door and I was like, holy cow, you know, and it became very serious to me at that point. And they brought me in and they started talking to me, and he wanted to try to hypnotize me because he knew my dad knew that I was having memory problems. So he could hear me talking to myself about it. And I was not able, he could not hypnotize me. And he told my dad, she's wide awake. You can't, she doesn't go into a dream state. She's wide awake all the time. There's no in between. And my dad said, well, I guess it's time then. And he told me about himself. He's a contactee as well. He had his first experience when he was 14 that he absolutely remembered. And everything after that. And I was like, okay, I have
Now,
questions, many questions.
it isn't it common, Dolly, that there is like a family lineage. In other words, they'll focus on a family, the different generations in a family. So
Yes.
this was from off-planet people's perspective. This is a typical arrangement that they'll work with different family members. Is it because of the skill set of that family, or is it just they like to stay in a genetic pool?
Humanity has issues. Our humanity, our particular iteration here on this planet is about 12,000 years old now, this iteration of us. And we have not been doing well at all. And they will make sure that there are people born here with with the skill sets to help humanity out. Okay, to inject uh, knowledge into the system and hope and different things like that. All right, anything to help us, but it has to come from us. So we plan to come here for this, and my family lines are loaded with it. And it is, when I had my DNA run, I found out things that I did not know and shocked me. And they've been watching my family since before Charlemagne. I go back to the original four, Hebrew, Jewish, that kind of thing. And then I found out that I have almost every single genotype, ethnicity on this planet, all of them. And that was wow. We are not here to hurt one another. We're not supposed to even cause war with each other. We're not supposed to be egotistical or judgmental. We're here to learn and elevate ourselves. Elevate doesn't mean perfect philosophy. Elevate means know all that is knowable before you proceed to do anything else. And elevation requires education. And that means discovery and learning and proving things to ourselves. They didn't get where they are by playing games on a TV or, thinking that you get something for nothing. Everything is all work. This is a classroom for us. And we're here to do that work, hard work. And they've tried throughout every century that we've been on this planet in this iteration to help us along, and we have been not good at it.
So
And
why, let's just take a second to figure out why that is. Why there are some people who say that we've been messed with from some people, off-planet people that don't necessarily have humanity's Earth humans' best interest in
that
mind.
is a person who has ulterior motive or control issues, who want to control absolutely or own everything, to make you believe that which is not true. It's not true. We've had every encouragement not to act this way, and yet we do. And unfortunately, our genome, all genetics is this way. If you implant a certain feeling or emotion into your genetics, it's going to pass down the generations. Okay, there is such a thing. They've proven super genetics. If something bad happens to your grandparents, the generation after that is going to get it. It'll genetically alter the parent of you, and then you inherit the genetic trait for that because it alters it. And we have, from a long time ago, operated in a violent, egotistical, harmful, actionable way. We've made slaves. Slavery is not new. It has come down from the beginning. There have been slaves from the very beginning of our histories, all of us. And we're embedded with it in our bodies, in our genetics, to believe that we have to obey a rule or have to do this or that, or somebody can own you. We're easily manipulated people, and it's
We
genetic.
really are.
Yes, it is in our genome. And the only way to eradicate that is for you to wake up, become conscious, use your abilities. But those were destroyed a long time ago. People have been told, no, you're just weird, something wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. It's been like that for a long time. They burned witches, people who are genetically coded to come in here, psychic and able to heal, and they burned them. Think about it. All history is full of it. They had, the oracles of the past, they murdered them. They listened to them for a little while and then they slaughtered every last one of them. If you study history for what it really is, anybody with any ability was killed. Anybody. That is a thing. Or revolved, or history rewritten on you, or you made to look like very bad things. They've rewritten, honest to God, people who came here to give you the truth and rewrote them and made it make you think that there's a God and a devil and hell. And if you don't do what that God says, you're going to hell. In other words, what is this? This is not how it is. This is not how it is at all. Every individual in the universe is autonomous. And we have the ability from birth. You are born with the innate ability to do all this, but it's been obstructed in y'all by toxicity, by fluoride. Oh my God, by fluoride, by hate, by violence, anything to knock you down so that you don't open your mind to hear what's really going on and see what's really going on. If you ask anybody who's truly psychic, they'll look at you and say, you can't lie to me. You cannot. That's because they're capable of understanding the truth. They're also capable of learning at unbelievable rates. Y'all have been persecuted to the point that you don't do that. And we have now, what, 5, 6, 7 generations of people who have been dumbed down and don't know what's what or why is why. They have no foundational knowledge at all. And now you're just ready for the picking. And there's reasons for this though. Way back at 12,000 years ago, they still had the knowledge that the earth has changes every 12,000 years, every 6,000 years, and there's a 4,000-year cycle. There's evidence all over the planet for it. They know the truth. But people who hold truth hold power, and they can use it against you. And that's exactly what's culminated up until now. Now we're looking at something that's coming at us, and it's serious. There are 8.46 billion people on this planet. 8.4 billion. 7, 8 years ago, there were 9.2 billion. They've already begun the genocide. Okay. I mean, if you go back as far as Sudan, I don't know if you remember this or not. I do. I'm military. I know it. They killed 800,000 people in 2 days in Sudan. That's pure genocide. They've been doing things to humans to stop them from bearing children. They have done things to humans to make them walk away from their genetics and do things that they shouldn't do to be happy and healthy and whole. We are living in the craziest amount of nutso ever, and it's only getting worse every day. We're
Okay,
violent,
let me stop you here. When you
right?
say they, who's they?
Those that control the entirety of this planet.
Yeah, okay. We're on the same page.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we won't say
I
their name.
don't I don't think people realize they're calling the herd, as it
Right.
were.
Yeah. And they
It
tend to do it
people
very,
need to
very
start
soon.
paying attention.
Right.
And the fact that we have been dumbed down, and I know that sounds
It's not a happy thought,
it's not a
It's
happy
been,
thought, and it sounds a little bit everything from the fluoride in the water to what they give you in the medical system
right. It
to
also involves information. They have spread information that is wholly untrue. I mean, completely unbelievably untrue. And they have like a mafia type system that if you don't do what they tell you to do, your whole family is not going to make it. And that's bad. That exists every day under your very nose. We live in a carefully constructed paradigm in this country and other countries where what we think is the normal is not, because
it's
you're
not.
constantly imbibing lies every day,
Yeah.
mistruths, all of it. And it takes to turn it off, walk away from it, let it go. Do not suck at the teat of that monster anymore. You
Yeah.
have to wake up. And that means connect to yourself, connect to your higher self. You are consciousness. Your physical mind is not communicating openly with it. It should, and that's because your pineal gland is clogged up, calcifying, and it shouldn't be happening to you. And there's a way to get past that. You just stop all the fluoride, and every ounce of it got to stop. No, like if you're in a public water system, quit bathing in it. Find a way to take baths in purified water. Put real things on your systems that clean the water up for you, or collect. I don't know. There's nowhere on this planet that isn't polluted now. That's the problem too.
That is a problem. So let's segue back to I know that you have spent an incredible amount of time on craft and have been a pilot.
Yes.
And so I've read the whole book and I know your story. And if you're watching this and this is interesting to you at all, it's a great read because it's one of the best, clearest documentations of an experience outside the planet. Just really thorough and full. First of all, I would like for you to share some of your experiences. And then, I'm so curious about how you were able to integrate the knowledge that you learned on craft, which was extraordinary, and then come back here and it's like dumbed downville,
Yeah,
and you've got all this knowledge and you're trying to integrate into this civilization that's been mentally crippled. So start us at when you first
well,
started getting on craft and understanding, and then how you worked into being a pilot.
I wasn't just taught on craft. The tall grays brought me to their homeworld. It's in the Orion system, and they have a name for it. It's called Enneoma, and I was taught there. And they have incredible It's a very big planet. It's much bigger than Earth. It has lower gravity. Everything grows unbelievably big there, huge, bigger than you can imagine. And I was in a classroom that was actually in a tree. It was like a big portico that went all the way around the tree, and there were stairways up to it. And you could get up it easily because the gravity is so low, you can just whoop right up into it. I was in a classroom with other girls from very young to like, 18, 19, 20 years old. And then there were other classrooms for the boys. They separated us. They taught me all kinds of things. I learned philosophy. I learned about religions. I learned about mathematics. I took astronomy. I learned higher mathematics as well. I learned engineering. I learned about electricity and what it can do. And this is not just where a teacher speaks to you and by rote, and then they make you write it down or tell what you learned. I learned by you learn in that environment, and then they bring you down to the planet's surface, and we had classrooms where we were able to employ what we learned. I could do experimentation and learn by experimenting whether this was true or that was not, what worked, what didn't. And I was encouraged as I was getting older to make my own experiments or learn my own way of gathering empirical data and seeing things as they really are. I was taken to other worlds, off world, to do field experiments where you go to a world and you do gridding, where you go out and you count animals or flora fauna. You see what's there, and you understand about its topography and its geology and everything. I learned to do that here as well. Earth is a really cool planet, and there are many interesting things to learn about this planet and how it operates within this system. I was also taught on board. I had a book that worked organically with me. It was like it heard my thoughts. It communicated with me when I had questions and helped me with the answers. It would teach me things like that in a way that you wouldn't be able to understand.
It was almost as if the book would populate with the content
Yes.
based on what the question was in your
Yeah,
mind.
and when I got it, it would depopulate it and take it out. There are a couple things that I left in the book for me to go back to simply because I love it so much. I want to reread it over and over and over. It's like, when you see a good movie and you rewatch it a few times, there are things about knowledge that I love, and I just can't get enough of it. I don't want to stop learning. And astronomy is one of them. Mathematics is another one. Understanding humans is another one. I had a hard time growing up because in real time here, when I'm home, I was way too advanced for everybody. When I was in the second grade, they decided that I was unmanageable, and they sent me to the library during certain classes because I couldn't stand sitting there. I would lose my mind. And so I read, by the time I graduated from elementary school, I had read every single book in the library. And it was interesting. I started realizing by the time I got to junior high school that history here was being altered, right? Because I had books at home from my parents who collected books in their lifetimes, very intelligent people, and they were teaching me from home as well. And I started seeing discrepancies, and that ignited me to try to understand humanity better. And I became a student of how we all operate here over the years. And by the time I was an adult, I have a really good understanding of what's really going on. It obsessed me. Why aren't you all getting it? Why can't you all do the things that we do? I met one other kid when I was in junior high school, and she was on level with me. Super intelligent, and I know they brought her in the middle of the year and they put her with every class that I was in, and I wondered why that happened. And then she stayed to the end of the year, and then I never saw her again. And the whole time we were talking, she kept alluding to the fact that she was doing what I was doing, but neither one of us were brave enough to just come right out and talk about it, especially because we were watched all the time. So it makes me crazy. I look for her every now and then. I know she's out there. She'll know who I am just by my name. If you're hearing this, you can find me. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know that there are more of us like me, lots more like me, and we're all over the place. I've also questioned why I'm the only one who's publicly addressing this come out. And that's because my fear quotient is zero. I'm afraid of nothing, absolutely nothing. I have no understanding of what that means. I won't allow it to happen to me ever. If you can't know what it is, if something's that crazy and it's making you that afraid, you need to stop everything and shine a light on it and go, what are you? what is this really? What am I looking at? That's how I think. I'm not afraid to come up to something and go poke, and I don't care about the consequences. I will figure it out. And I don't think many people have that. That's a unique trait that I'm born with.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I
you're right.
also,
I
go ahead.
have a couple, I want to ask just some, just boots on the ground, practical questions. You were, you were taken physically
Yes.
onto craft. In other words, it wasn't your energy body, it
No,
was
ma'am.
your physical body. How do they get you? What technology is used to get you from your bedroom onto the craft? I mean, are you literally going through the walls or the ceiling?
They put you out of this dimension. They have an energy ribbon and beam that they use, and it encapsulates you, and it takes you up through. You phase into another dimension. You lose
Okay.
some of your physicality, and you're able to go through things like you're not even there. You can't see the fourth dimension. It's here. It's all on top of us. It's actually in the same room with you, fifth, sixth, all the way up to the 12th dimension. But we don't have the ability, because you're not wide open psychic, to see all the dimensions at one time. And most of us in the third dimension only can, if you're really really gifted, you can see up into the fifth, and I can see it. But to get me out of here physically, they bring me up dimensionally. They shine a big white energy light on you, and there's a beam that comes down. Sometimes it looks like a blue too, straight, and then sometimes it looks like an energy ribbon. I prefer the ribbon; it's easier to handle for me. The blue one, you phase out completely, and it's prickly to me for some reason. I feel the prickles from it. I'm
Yeah.
real sensitive to everything. I mean, I'm sensitive. The energy ribbon's easier because I can actually ride it. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Okay. So you're on the craft now. Are they outside of time when you're
no,
on the craft?
no,
So
we are.
they're still in time.
Yeah, the only time they leave time is to light gate. It's a very big distance between us and them. And you can't go through conventional space. They die. The gamma radiation alone will kill them. We're all subject to that. Gamma radiation kills all biological life, period. If you take sustained amounts of it, your DNA will deraz and you'll die. It can cause terrible, I mean, it's bad. I don't even want to describe it. So they have to dimensionally jump. Now, that means they have to go from this third dimensional space to this third dimensional space, clean halfway across the galaxy. Okay.
Okay.
And so they light gate. And what it is that they know the coordinates, and there's a, okay, I'm going to describe something to you that you need to understand before I explain this out. Everybody talks about frequency here, but you don't understand what it is. You don't raise your frequency. You have a frequency. Your consciousness thinks it's alive. It's causing your frequency. Your frequency doesn't get higher the smarter you get. That has nothing to do with evolving or elevating. Your frequency is the signature of the sound your mind makes when you're thinking. A planet has a frequency because it's ringing. Everything that's going on the planet, internally and externally, ring the planet. All planets have a frequency. All planets clean across the galaxy have a frequency. All moons have frequency. If it's making it like, I just made a frequency by the clap of my hands. Frequency is the sound result of an action. Okay. Your thoughts are actions. Your thoughts can actually produce frequency, and we all hear it. That's how we're connected to one another. Your mind is thinking, my mind is thinking, his mind is thinking, and you can hear everybody all the way across everything, because we think in light. We think in light frequencies. Our higher self is pure light. We're light too, but you can't see it, because in this dimension, we're very gravity heavy, and all our protons are packed tightly together. So you don't see the light you're emitting. That's why some people can see auras. That's the light that you emit at your frequency. And your frequency can show different colors for three different reasons. If you're not feeling well, the sound goes down in your frequency and it emits a different color. If you're feeling really great, it'll go up and you'll see a really pretty color. If you're angry, it'll get bloody red, because that frequency is so high. That high sound that you make comes in as a red color. When you dial your radio, there are frequencies on your radio. You have different bands, AM, FM. There's Swiss Air. There's different, CBs. There's all different channels that pick up frequencies. And you dial on the channel and you find the frequency you want, and then you turn the volume up so you can hear it. That's what frequency is. We're all thinking in frequency, all of us. We hear each other talking all the time. And this is the basic light language of every single live living being in the universe. We can hear it. You're psychic. How do you pick that up? You have a pineal gland. It's a glandular. It's part of your endocrine system. It is the ability to perceive light and dark. It can volumize it. It can transmit and receive frequency transmissions. And when that's not working, you're totally locked into your physical mind and you can't get out. That's what's happening to humanity. Those of
Okay.
us who are born wide open can do that. We can hear it. I was raised not to be polluted. I was raised not given bad food. I was raised no fluoride, none. I was raised to be psychic. My mom and dad were very psychic, which is weird to me because my mother denied it, but she practiced it every day. I
She
mean,
just
the
probably
only
didn't know what it was.
she did. She talked about it. She really did. My great grandmother who lived with us was more psychic than all of us put together. I mean, it
Wow.
was a thing in our family. We practiced being psychic. I was never denied the ability to be psychic, never. And I developed it really well. We have to
Okay,
understand.
so let me ask you this.
Okay.
When we talk about raising or raise your frequency, the only way out of this mess we're in is up. You got to go up. You got to raise your
No, you
frequency.
have to. No, it's not up. It's dimensional. It's dimensional.
Okay,
Think of
but here's my
everything.
question. Here's
Okay.
my question. So we use up because we don't know what we're talking about. But if I
That's
go from being
okay.
very sad to very happy and lighthearted, what has happened? What has actually happened?
Your physical body, your brain, is programmed by your DNA to react or not react to certain stimuli. Your physical mind, your consciousness is up there trying to help regulate you. But when it can't regulate you, your physical mind's got to figure out things to do. And that's why there's so much sadness. Because when it's not being stimulated properly, it goes, ugh. Okay. And we don't, humanity has not taught you that serious, severe depression is a lack of being in contact with your higher consciousness, period. When you can't understand things, when you can't reach your consciousness for confirmation or denial of anything, and you have to rely on one thing to survive, you're going to get depressed. It's depressing to be depressed about that, but you don't know why you're depressed. You just know, oh my God, I'm depressed. When you're very happy, you're living moments where you've supplemented that depression with a stimulus from somewhere else. That's why it's so easy to get addicted here. That's why it's so easy to become addicted to anything. Okay. Anything that you can do to excess is addicting. And our physical mind will latch onto anything just to be stimulated enough to not go crazy, because your mind needs to be constantly taught. Your mind was geared for that. It was your DNA made it so that you would learn all that is knowable and then proceed. I'm not kidding you. You're a computer without a programmer because you can't reach your higher consciousness. That's what that is.
Is that why people who meditate seem to be a little bit more
Yes,
satisfied?
they're regulating. Yes. You learn how
Okay.
to respond. Everything in life is here to teach you something, and how you respond to it is key to your emotional development, your mental development, your knowledge development, and what you do in your life and how you perceive what your life really is about. People are walking around here with no doggone clue. If I hear one more person say to me, "Why are we here?" I may cry, because you're born with that knowledge. When you're a little kid, they all talk about what they're going to do. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And somehow it's wiped out of them because they're being toxified and polluted to the point that it stops. They can't reach their higher self.
Okay, so let's go back to your interaction with the off-planet people. Clearly, this was something you set up before you incarnated.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I knew I was coming to do that. I knew what was happening. Why do you think? Okay, we've had masters who've taught us and left lessons that they actually get through to us, trickle through. You have to have a little bit of truth to believe a con, okay? And so there's small truths out there, pearls of wisdom that we should adhere to. And one of them is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. What is your willingness to serve everybody? How much is love incorporated into your being? In other words, do you love unconditionally? Do you know that you can't survive here by yourself, that others are going to help you do that? And employing hate and division and all that's going to stop you and leave you cold in hell here. We have to understand that we're here for a reason. We're here to learn, but we're all together doing this. And rule number one in this particular classroom is help everybody, thereby helping yourself. that it's cooperation, it's concession, it is communion with one another that makes this all work right. Okay. That way, everybody's in love together, everybody understands together, everybody knows what everybody else knows, and everybody works together toward the goal of your existence and why you, each individual of us, is meant to be here and what we're planning to do. It is a huge fail, and everybody doesn't get that. And it's time to wake up. That's the message from ET, period. Wake up. Wake up to who we are, what our existence here is really all about, and what is that we should be doing. We are all culpable on this planet together. We all chose to be together, to work together here, and we're not doing it. We have to stop polluting our bodies. We have to stop worrying each other and finding division. We're all the same. As a nurse, we are Homo sapien sapien here. ET is also Homo sapien. They're not sapien sapien, but they are Homo sapien. They're genetically identical to us enough that we can breed back and forth with one another. Think about that. You are related to every plant, every animal, everything, genetically related to everything on this planet. It's all here so that we could learn to know all that is knowable and proceed to employ that knowledge. You're not getting out of the third dimension until you do that. You've lived multiple lives, not just on this planet, you've lived all over this universe over time that you can't even calculate how much time you've been in existence because you can't remember any of it because you're cut off. What you have to do, you have to wake up. It's not easy, it's work. Nobody's going to come in and take care of you and make it happen for you. It does not work that way. ET did not make me psychic. I was born this way and I employ it at every chance I get. I am good at it. You should be too. You can do this, and it's not too late to learn, not too late at all. But you have to change the way you live. You have to adopt a new habit of existence on this planet. And one is how you react to every living thing that comes in contact with you. In other words, in your mind, we've all been taught to hate. We've all been taught to be divisive. And I don't care who you are. Everybody has those thoughts here because you're programmed to. You need to drop them, let them go. Buddha tried to teach you, let it go. Let it go.
Let go.
It doesn't exist.
So
You know?
what the contact that we're getting, and it seems, and I was talking to Preston earlier today. Preston Dennett is the gentleman who wrote the book based on Dolly's life.
Yeah.
In the 60s, and I think that we're probably similar in age. In the 60s, we talked about UFOs.
Yes.
In the 70s, 80s, 90s, and blah, 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 you were ridiculed and belittled, and your life would be destroyed. Your career would be destroyed if you even said this is really going on. So there was a definite campaign to shut down that knowledge.
Yes.
Now we're in a period of time where it's happening so much. People, it's like it's in the consciousness now that people are like, yeah, there's other people out there. Because
But
we've been told for so long, humans are the only creatures in the universe. It's like how they got us to believe that, I don't know. What is the point in purpose, or what are they hoping to accomplish?
They're going to accomplish it. It's already happening.
Okay.
Okay, it's a con on us. Okay, so there's 8.4 billion people on this planet, 8.42 billion. We have something coming at us that is going to make it incredibly hard to survive. You're going to lose every modern convenience you can possibly imagine. It's all going to go back to the Stone Age in a flash. Our sun is going to micronova. We're also going to have a CME before that downs our grids 10 miles deep into the earth. How sustainable are we going to be at that point? Because we're used to being bottle fed every day. We're given supplies. We have to work for them like a slave. Okay. But do you know how to take care of yourself and sustain your life without all this? Do you know how to farm?
I think very few people do.
Right. And that's going to cause anarchy. It already is. They've made people crazy enough that anarchy is already beginning anyway. They've already stopped the supply chains. People, you don't see half the things in the stores anymore that you used to. That's because they're gone. Bye bye. See you. Woo woo. Okay. The food supplies have been altered to the point that in one day, the planet will be starving to death. That's how fast this can happen. They know that there are too many people on the planet for this sustainably to work. Those who think they own us all plan to survive this, and this has been in the works since like the 1930s that I know of, absolutely have knowledge of.
And they
And
have underground bunkers
yeah,
and all
seed
this.
depositories, all this stuff, but only so many people can survive this calamity. And they don't want us knocking on their doors trying to get in. And a lot of us know where they are because we helped build them. Okay. They want us dead. They want us off the planet. And they have a very short window. We are walking into that time period now where it is coming. And I'm talking to you in the next 2 years. Well, from this day forward, expect to see me to ground down the grid. It's coming. Our sun is at that point now. Our magnetosphere is down because our poles are changing. Where our entire planetary system is going through a huge magnetic ribbon that's circular, and it's waves of it, magnetic wave. Okay. It happens every 12,000 years. We run into this thing. Our sun is changing its poles, and every planet in our solar system are changing their poles at the same time. There's evidence of that you can go look up right now and understand that this is happening. We all know our poles are changing. We all know that our weather is going crazy and that we're having more volcanic eruptions. This has nothing to do with global warming. That is a lie you've been told. It is because our innards are grinding on each other right now because the poles are changing. Our magnetosphere is not coherent. It's 40% down. And anything the sun shoots at us is hitting us harder on a to the nth degree. We are going to lose our grid. Our sun is in solar maximum. They're telling you it's going into solar minimum. Not anytime soon. Trust me, no. They say that global warming is going to get worse and that we're going to see whole states, go into the water. That is not true either. There's a thing called the Beaufort Gyre, and it keeps the Atlantic Ocean and the other oceans stable with heat or cold, and that generates our weather. Our poles have dumped enough fresh water into the system where the Beaufort Gyre died last year. It's completely gone. Winter is coming. It's not a joke. We are already where I'm at in the 50s at night. It is snowing in the Sierras. New Hampshire high today was 58 degrees. This is not a joke. And yet they lie to you about the temperatures. They show you false maps and tell you everybody's hot because there are a few areas where it is hot because that's the way the weather patterns run in cycles and they blow around and they do weird things. But by this winter, you're going to see snow, ice, and temperatures you haven't seen in 100 years. It's going to be bad, and it's going to keep getting worse every single year after this. And this is a response to our pole change and the fact that our poles did melt from the heat coming up from the inside of our Earth, not anything we did, and melted our bloody poles. And this happens every 6,000 years and 12,000 years. And we have both those cycles happening at the same time. So really not in a good place right now. They don't tell you the truth of that. You have no scientific foundation for this whatsoever. And I would suggest to you, and I'm going to say it right now, there's somebody out there who's telling the truth. He's very good. He's extremely intelligent, and he has a playlist on YouTube that explains it all. I can't tell you all the news you need to understand this, but you can go there. And his name is Ben Davidson. He's brilliant, and I have been promoting him as much as possible. I can't do this all by myself. I can't teach you in a day. He's one aspect of this. Go to Suspicious Observers on YouTube and watch the playlist. Wake up, because you've got to have enough food, enough water, enough supplies, and a way to grow your own food. Get out of the cities. If you're in the cities, go. Not everybody's going to do this. This is what is sad to me, because not everybody's going to hear what I say, or Ben, or anybody else who's saying this. Not everybody's going to understand what's going on. So you need to protect yourself. You need to survive long enough for when our poles do change back, and ET can come back, because they have not been here for 2 years. Anything you see in the sky right now is re-engineered, back engineered craft.
So it's government craft.
Yes, ma'am. It is, absolutely. If it's black, a triangle, or a rectangle, even saucer shaped, you're in trouble, because they are loaded with laser cannons and they can kill people, massively kill people. Don't play. The governments want you to think that ET, it's going to become a national security incident where everybody's going to be made to be afraid of ET. And you're going to think you died by ET. That's so that they take no responsibility or culpability in the amount of people that they're killing, because they think that would hurt them. It's like a liar telling a lie to make himself feel better about it. That's serious stuff. That's evil incarnate. Okay. This is all real. It is, but you can't take anything that I tell you and believe it offhand. I don't want you to. God help me, don't do it. You need to look up everything I say. You need to prove it to yourself and then act accordingly, because that's all anybody can do. Educate yourself, understand what you need to know, and then go forward with it. People say, well, I can decide not to do anything and whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Enjoy it. Be happy. Be happy to the last day of your life, whatever that is. But if you are of a mind to learn the truth, learn the science, learn all that is learnable, then you can be ready, because ET will make a rescue after that. They will
Yeah,
come.
I read about the Gathering the Children program
Yeah.
in the book. Can you talk to us about that? Is that something that
Yeah.
they're considering implementing if there is a
It is. If
existential
there are
crisis?
people left, yes. If there are people left after all of this and they haven't, you're still surviving, they're not picking up the bad guys. I want you to understand that they are done with them. They're not going to help them. You can't allow those genetics to come back into our pool, gene pool. It would be suicide again. We would come back here and do the same stupid stuff all over again. And there's proof that this has happened before us in the iterations before us. I mean, why did Athens, Atlantis go down? What happened? Well, I can tell you, just like us, they were idiots and they effed up, and it's not good. We need to be wise. We need to be educated. We need to understand that this is not a game being on this planet. We're not easy living. Nobody's going to hand you anything. You have to do this for yourself. Third dimension is solid. I mean, solid. It is the mainframe of the universe. You have the first dimension is flat. You have the second dimension that's, this, and the third dimension that we can actually mentally see into the fourth dimension, sort of. That's why you see angels and guardian angels and other types who are coming at you. But all 12 dimensions exist one on top of the other in this universe. And you have to understand that you're just in a classroom, because that which created everything, and the ETs refer to it as the all mind, is not a God up there saying you have to believe this person to get the pass. Otherwise, you're going to get hit with a big stick and you're going to be sent to hell. This is how a taskmaster, this is how a, slave owner treats his slaves. You do what I say or you get the whip. This is not how the universe works at all. Not at all. Love runs this universe. Knowledge runs this universe. Hope runs this universe. Compassion runs this universe. All of it. And we're in the middle of a great big gup of goo, and we need to get out of it. We need to wake up. I would love for everybody on this planet that is capable of understanding and capable of waking up to do so. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. You just do it every day. You let go of everything. Don't listen to the governments anymore. Live aside from it. Start seeking knowledge yourself. Meditate. Open your third eye. Get the information that you need from the universe. It's very chatty. It'll tell you anything you need to know, and it'll tell you the truth. These guys are big liars. Don't believe it. Okay?
Yeah.
They've altered knowledge to the point now, if you go to a library now online or whatever, you're going to get lied to. There's so much misinformation out there. We anthropomorphize everything. We're so egotistical that we try to put our traits on ETs. This doesn't. If you're okay,
let talk to us about that. How does an ET society function differently as compared to what we've got going on here?
they are completely wide open. They hear each other. Every ethnicity of them, they're all in communion with one another. I call it consensus. That's what I was taught how to think about it. It's consensus. But Whitley Strieber used the word communion, and it's close enough. It's a good explanation. I can project my thoughts clean across the universe and pick up somebody that I know and talk to them psychically. We should be in that kind of communion with one another here. We should be practicing it here. That's the first difference. The second one is that they don't need rules or laws. They're evolved to the point that those don't matter anymore. They've let all that go out of their genome. It's not written in their DNA. One of the reasons that they breed back and forth with us is they've been hoping their DNA infused back into us, because we are related, they are our progenitors, would help us. And it has, because people are waking up now. They've got a lot more of their DNA going on in us to help us with that. It's changing us a little bit to help us wake up. That's why they do it. They've also been taking our DNA off this planet because what's coming is going to kill a lot of people. And there are family lines on this planet they don't want to lose. And your genetics, even through your children, go on. Your genetics don't die. They go from your children to your child to your child. Theirs. That's important. And that's one of the reasons they've also been breeding back and forth with us, is to take us out of here genetically. We have to understand also that they don't have federations like we do. That's our word for war. That's our word for owning people, and our word for, if you don't do what we say, we're going to take it from you. We're going to beat you up, or we're going to take you over. And we do it every day. Look what's going on right now. I mean, I can tell you what happened today globally, and it's frightening. Okay. It is important for us to understand that this is a more highly evolved. They don't even see things the way they do. When I tell you that they use light energy and light technology, it is that evolved. Think about it. They run ships without the kind of technology. They don't have thrusters or boosters. There's no tailpipes on anything. They use electric energy that is induced to become so powerful that it creates a graviton wave. That is a real word in our vocabulary that you don't know or understand how it works. It is a wave of energy so intense that it can encapsulate whatever it's aimed at and protect it from everything else. It's impenetrable, and it can make you anti-grav in this very heavy, dense, gravity-heavy dimension that we're in. And
Well,
they
doesn't our government have a lot of this technology that we've paid for, the people have paid for, but we don't get to use any of it
they
or
have
even know it exists?
they have back engineered up to the point that they can understand it, but they don't have the power capabilities that ET does. They don't have the elements that ET does. Our world has a certain set of elements, and they don't exist anywhere else except here. And there are other dimensions where elements combine differently because the gravity is different. Okay. And the element that they use comes from the fifth dimension, and it is element 115. They've identified it, they know what it is, but they can't make it. They think they stupidly thought it was antimatter. No, it's not. Antimatter doesn't exist in our universe anywhere. It cancels out. Everything in this universe is light and it's positive, and it knocks it out. There's no gray, dark matter. Okay, there are no black holes. There are no singularities here in our universe. A black, what you think is a black hole, is because your eye lenses cannot perceive what you're looking at because it warps the gravity around them. It's so heavy, gravity heavy, that the light changes and all you see is black. Black is the color that has all color
All
in
the
it.
colors.
So all you're looking at is that. They don't realize, and well, they do now. They've actually finally got it. They understand because they put something out in space to see it, that black holes eject energy like a pulsar or a quasar, a proton star. Whatever goes in, there's a limit to how much it can hold according to its size and its gravity contents, and it spits it back out, and it usually spits it out in jets. They finally got that on things. So that blows all their theories. When a scientist or somebody, a theorist, tells you this is a theory, okay, but then they act like it's correct, they're lying out their ears to you. Don't believe anything anybody says. Well, this is a theory, but we believe it's true. Belief is not knowledge. Belief is not truth. Belief is something you think, but you don't know. Knowing knows. And the answers are out there, but they're not even trying to get the answers anymore, except some of them are. They built CERN to make anti-gravity, antimatter.
Okay, Dolly's microphone just cut out. And I have to tell you, she informed me before we started recording this interview that she has government agencies that hack into her computer regularly. And during this entire conversation, I've been hearing binging and buzzing and all kinds of noises. And I don't know if it's going to show up in the recording, but if you hear it, that's what's going on. So Dolly's microphone went out. We've got a little computer mic that we'll use just to sort of wrap up, but we definitely need to have Dolly back. So you were saying,
Oh, okay. So yeah, CERN was for that. They spent billions of dollars of our money. There's another smaller one in Chicago, outside of Chicago in Illinois. That was the first thing that went up, and then CERN went up on after it. They have learned nothing from this except that they know that protons do have a center, and they're little electric particles in the middle at the very base of every proton, and they hold together in a triangular configuration, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and they're electric. They hold together. If you want to talk about a God particle, that would be it. That is the light particle of everything. Okay? When I tell you that the universe is light, I'm not kidding you. Every particle in the universe, and we're all held together by protons. And that it's the glue that in each dimension either solidifies you or gives you more room to expand and do other things mentally. Fifth dimensional beings have no corporeal body. They have their astral selves. They are born into that dimension that way, and they can come and go. They can OB. They don't even OBE. They're already able to circulate the universe at will. They're there doing what they're doing, and they're doing what they do to help us. That's what's important to understand. Is anything coming at us from that direction is not evil in any way. we're the only ones who exhibit those traits. And we're the only ones who actually practice it. Look at what we do to one another. We want to
I
blame
know.
ourselves.
I know.
You know?
Yeah. Well, Dolly, this has been a fascinating conversation. I hope you'll come back and talk with us again because I have still a ton of questions. I'd like to learn more about what you actually did on craft, what you've learned about other civilizations. I always wonder that. It's like we're such a mess here. I would really love to hear more about how other populations
Sure.
work because that would be such a relief to us that there's actually some civilizations that work. So, Dolly, how do we find out more about you?
I'm on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's just Dolly Safran and then 9178. And I have some videos there. I'm also on the Light Gate Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. I'm on Messenger. You don't have to be my friend on Facebook. You just have to be on Facebook to talk to me in Messenger. I have a list that I go down every day and I look to see who wants to talk to me. So if you have something to say to me, I'll listen to you. I'm really trying really hard to talk to everybody.
Oh, wonderful.
Uh, I am in the book Symmetry. We're working on Symmetry 2 right now, where we're going to go into detail about how the craft works, what type of energies, more about ETs themselves, what the structure of their societies are, all that stuff. We're going to do a lot of teaching in this one. And
Wonderful.
that kind of
Wonderful.
and
Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I really hope we can do at least one more of these because I have so much more I want to learn from you.
thank you. And
All right.
after we hang up, don't go away. I want to talk to you privately for a minute.
All right. Okay. Bye, everyone. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Coming up next, this is a good one, or you might really like this one too. Either one of them could be perfect for you. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe.